Hi there and welcome to part 3. So in this part we will start working with the cube and transforming this in the factory hall. We will also import some blueprints and these will help us finding the right measurements and shaping the hall. So start the engine and let's do some modeling. Bye bye. And welcome to part 3 of this factory beginner course. If you made it all to part 1 and 2, you're definitely gonna like this part because we're turning this cube into the factory. Yeah, let's get started. So before we do anything, I like to do a little bit of organization in the outliner because we will add the blueprints and I don't want to put everything together. That will be unorganized and I don't want that. So the collection will be camera, light. So the camera and all the lights will be here. And another one will be building. Yeah. So the cube will be the factory like this. And let's add another collection and call this blueprints, because I've got blueprints for the factory, but also for the beams and the doors. So yeah, another one, factory, or like this, the hall, because factory can be like anything. All right, so yeah, the first thing we're adding is the top view blueprint. So I'm going to add an image and we will use reference image. All right, so I'm going to my block out blueprints. You can just download these straight away on my Patreon. Yeah, so using the top one, all the scene files are available there. So we're going to measure this cube with the blueprint. So I'm using the real world measurement. If we zoom in, you can see there is like a piece of this hall is 20 meters. So I only need to measure this area so I can just find all the measurements. So we have a length of 20 meters. So we will go to the Y and make this 20. And that will make this cube extremely tall. So now I want to select my blueprint, top view. Let's just, this score is not needed. And I like to just scale this one. So it's just covering this part. And you have to do this very carefully, because if you don't measure this well, you will get problems on all places. So this is good. And from this point, we can continue. So we're now in the layout. I like to switch to modeling. And I want to have this origin at the bottom. So I'm selecting this cube. And before I do anything, screencast keys needs to be reset because it has this behavior of taking a nap. And we're moving this on top. So that works a bit better. So going to the top view. And I like to align this shape with the factory. So we go here and here, and now we see a transition. And for every transition, I like to extrude the mesh. So I'm pressing E and we're extruding. And we continue, we extruding this area. And then extruding it all the way to the other side, like this. And we grab these vertices. I'm in the wireframe, so I can do this. Don't be in the solid mode because that will look weird. We extruding this way. And we selecting these vertices the other way. All right. So far so good. But if we go to the front view, we do not have any measurements. So what I like to do is we're going to add image, reference, front view. So I'm going to, because we now have the shape of this factory, I'm going to align this, and we have to make this opacity a little bit lower. we just have to measure the shape. So this is our shape, and this is like, just need to cover the full space like this. And this is pretty close. At this point, we select the factory, and let's call this front view. And we're extruding this to the first level. Nothing more, nothing less. So what part is next? Well, I like to extrude this area over here because we have this data. So we go into the face selection mode, and it's like this area. So this space in face selection mode. What we can also do is just select this blueprint and moving this and pressing G, Y, and moving this to this area. So something like this. All right. So at this point, in the edit mode, we go to the front view. The only thing we need to do is extrude it, so we cover this area. And that's it. So we now have this space as well. So the next part is a bit more complicated because I want to focus on these windows. Because we have the top and the front, we can model this. But we have to add more edge lines. So we start at this pace, and maybe we have to just use lower opacity for the top view as well. We click on our factory, edit mode, Control R. We're moving this edge line to this area. So it's the intersection between these windows and the roof. And here we have another one like this. Okay, so far so good. And I like to add more edge lines. We have one overlap at this point, and we have an overlap at this area. And I like to add two more over here. Alt left click G X. I want to put this one in the middle, and this one is already in the middle. Shift Alt left click. So in the edge mode, not in the vertice mode. We're doing this again in the edge selection mode. So Alt left click, holding Shift, Alt Shift left click, and you have these edge lines selected. And what you do is Control B, and you're moving these like this. So you have you covering this space. That's good. We're not there yet. We have to think if we now have. So what I like to do is making the first extrude these big roofs and then focusing on the windows. So I think we are ready to do that. We can do this only once. We go to face selection mode, shift left click, and we select all of these. All right. And now we extrude this a little bit like so. Okay. And the next thing is to add selection mode, and we select the outer line, shift left click like this. And we're moving this in the front view, G, Z, and moving these upwards like this. And that gives us this classical factory look. Exactly where I want to go for. But we also have to make these windows pop out. So we have to add more edge lines. So you can see a transition here. So we add another edge line. So like this. And another one over here. We do it all the way to the left, like so. And one over here. And we're doing this for every window, like so. And we continue. And it starts to look how I want this to be. All right. I just want to focus on what I'm doing. All right, so we cannot simply select these planes in the face selection mode because we want to have these separated windows. So for every line, like here, we have to just add something in between, like so, and Control B. Or we just start adding these everywhere, like so. between, and then Shift Alt left click in the edge selection mode and Control B. So they all have the same thickness, and that's better to do. And at this point, we all have separated windows, and we can use these to extrude. So here we go, a lot of selections. Looks like this. We go to the front view, press E, and we extrude this, something like this. And look at that. We now have the windows on top, just perfect. But yeah, we're not there yet because we have many more windows. And let's start to focus on these right here because they are a little bit complex. What I'd like to do is add another blueprint for the right side. We go to Add, Image, Reference, and the right one. We have to scale it up, making it a little bit more transparent will help us. This one is a bit harder because we will always have a little bit of misaligning. It's really hard to measure, but I think this approach is doing very well. All right, so let's move that one a little bit, GX to the right. So press 3 on the numpad. So click on the factory, and I like to add a new edge line over here, Control R, and one over here. And we go to the top view, pressing 7. Another edge line right here. These are the borders. And I want to make these spaces between. So Control R and scroll your mouse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, like this. Yeah, this should be as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And pressing Control B and make them thick. So it's a little bit different than the blueprint, but that's not a problem. So I think we go for this value. All right. So now we can go to the face selection mode and holding Shift left click, and we can select all these windows. And it looks a little bit weird because we have this blueprint we're looking for, and we press E to extrude this. So front view or top view, maybe a little bit more than the blueprint. So we have some extra mesh. Later on, we will transform this mesh in a different, we will remesh it. So we have a different way how the geometry looks. So therefore, you don't want to have small intersections. So you want to have a little bit thickness in it. Thickness is what I was aiming for. All right, let's continue. We have more windows here on the top, so that's next. So we add an edge line. So, and take your time for this. There's no reason to rush. I mean, this is a beginner's tutorial. I do not expect you know this. So I'm doing a lot of repetition with the edge lines and extruding. And sometimes I'm introducing something new, but most of this is handled in part 1 and part 2. So if you feel not comfortable with it, just go back to these and watch it again. So you can see here is an edge line missing. So we add one over here. And this is not matching, so we add one there. So, right. Doesn't look bad. And we can see we have windows over here as well. So from the front, we're adding more edge lines. Oh, Control Z, that wasn't good. And I prefer Alt left click to have a little bit, have these lines a bit more inwards than outwards. Otherwise you have very big windows. So at this point, we can start extruding more and more. So starting with these, selecting, go to the front view, and you can just use the measurement. You can see it right here. And the roof as well. And this is harder to see. So let's just do it this way in the wireframe mode. And we have to be aware that we also select them on the ground. We want to deselect it. And you also want to deselect the other ones. You only want to select these. So now we're cool. We can now extrude it like so. And to match this, you go to the front view, something like this. Yeah, and as you can see, we had to add one more edge line because that's now intersecting. Only this one, so I go back, Control Z, so I have to deselect that one and do it again. All right, it can happen, just fix your mistake if it happens. So now I want to extrude all the other windows, and this is a little bit annoying, so I'm hiding it. You can see these windows, so just selecting and extruding. Just like that, and the other side. Look at that. Okay, and we have them here. We'll just hide that one as well. This is harder, so I want to bring this back. And selecting. Be aware that you're selecting other parts as well if you do this in wireframe. Just press B and use your mouse wheel, scroll wheel to deselect. And you can extrude this. Not too much, not too little. Just this. This is good. And there are a bit more parts. So the yellow are doors. So I like to add an extra edge line, like so. And here as well, like so. And the heath here, because here's a door. And we start with extruding. It's hard to see with these. Let's select the factory. And we're selecting these faces. Did we select any other face? No, it's just this. Just be aware. Extrude it. Yeah, a bit more GY. And on the top, we have to add a bit more of these edge lines. We have a door here as well. So we can extrude it like so. And this one. And we have one door left on the other side. Let's go to the side view. And we have to enable it. And with this door, there's a little mistake. It's too wide. So I like to add an extra edge line like this. Go to the face selection mode or add one extra. Face selection mode, select these. We're ignoring this part. It turns out it was too wide, so I had to fix this later on. You can see that we now selected the rear as well. We deselected by B and holding the scroll wheel. And what I like to do is extruding this just like the sample. So this part is missing. And I like to extrude this one more time, like so. And we're selecting these two faces. And we're extruding this. So this is a little extra. And it turned out it worked well for the purpose of this room. We can put some light here. And with the open door, it gives a nice effect later on. Okay, I right side. I have to name this properly. Seed side. Like this. Okay. Let's hide this. Okay, you can just click on the blueprint and then they're all gone. So we have to do some checks. For this, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to the workbench. That will be confusing. Most of it is good. I'm a little bit warned about the top. So I like to go to vertice selection mode and make them a little bit taller. So we have all the windows. It's all looking good to me. If you look at the geometry, it looks like this. And what I like is that it's all looking the same. Like all the vertices are connected with the same measurement. Because as soon as we start also adding displacement, it doesn't work with this kind of mesh. So to finalize this mesh, and this is a very important step, we have to add the modifier, just as we did in part number 2. Then we use the bevel. Instead of using a bevel, we're going to do a remesh. And we go to add modifier, generate, remesh. So by default, it's using voxel, and it's not good as well. We're using sharp. It's also not very good. So first, we have to check the scaling. So it's 1, 10, 1, and we press Ctrl A and fix the scaling. It's a bit better, but it has way less vertices than to copy the original. So what I'd like to do is go to the wireframe so you see what is happening, and increasing the depth to 6 and 1 more. Okay, we go to 8, and this looks like we have to check if there's no misalignment. So that's like if we go to, for example, for 7, yeah, you can see that it doesn't have too many vertices or faces to display it correct. We go to 8, it looks good. But sometimes in this mode you have artifacts, and then you have to change the scaling to make it correct. But we're not applying this yet. We're keeping it like this, like so. So we can, if we find an error in part 4, we can correct this. And then later on, we apply this. So we're still safe. So I'm turning off this wireframe. So because now, if I use tab, I cannot see how it looks. So you have to enable this wireframe to see if the geometry looks right. This is a technique I use for like all my buildings, because you can work with displacement. Otherwise, displacement maps are not an option, and you can do such cool things with displacement maps. So I call this done for chapter or part. I'm calling this chapters for part number 3. So we can jump to part number 4 and applying the first materials, like the factory wall, the floor, the windows. It takes some time, so we need a full part for this. It won't be advanced materials, just applying them. We need some extra work for the glass, but most of it is aligning the UVs with the texture to match it well. Like that's the biggest challenge. But look at what we have to just disable this. Look at what you created in part 3. You created a factory hall. And you can do this just to finalize, and then we wrap this part up because I don't want to take this long. We move this camera like so. Let's go to the front view, lower this. We press 0, solid, shift tilt. You move this up and a bit more. I'm pressing G, Z to lift it up. We go to camera settings, make this 24, like so. Material, yeah, this is all white, but this is the factory hall. And just in one part, in 20 minutes or even less, you were able to create this. And this is maybe the hardest part of everything. So if you've completed this, you've done a great job. And now the real fun starts, because as soon as you start textures and start working with the lighting, it looks better and better and better. I hope you still enjoy this process, and I can't wait to jump to the next part so we can continue on our work. Thanks for watching, and see you in part number 4. Bye bye.